Let's podcast alongside Joe Giglio. I'm Joe Ovies inside Eford Studios in downtown Raleigh. Thanks to Empire Properties and thanks to Copiers Plus. Check them out online at copiers-plus.com. Print management, document management, get everything that you need to the cloud. Or if you just need a really awesome printer that can print off a bunch of brackets for your office, because we know that's still how it gets done.
You know what's old? The 68-team bracket. You know what's new?
What's new?
That 15-team ACC bracket.
Is it time?
Let's go.
Destination Charlotte 2025.
Your finest work yet. Need to submit that to the Daily Show because I feel like you're ready. You're ready to move up. You're ready to leave the nest.
Tonight's the night where NC State starts their real run. Their full hold our beer. You thought last year was wild. Oh, it starts tonight.
This is a must-win game. I cannot remember the last time there was a must-win game for any team in the regular season. This is one of them because NC State is 4-12 in the league.
Yeah.
They play Syracuse tonight on the road. Syracuse is 5-11 in the league. NC State's clearest path to making the ACC tournament, to being in Charlotte, to getting the chance to win consecutive ACC titles hinges on the outcome of this basketball game.
Are we going to lull the Wolf situation here?
No.
And that this is a very winnable game for the Wolfpack to
No.
Their destination, Charlotte, hopes alive.
You can't expect them to win because they haven't won a road game all year.
Right. Oh, or is the law of the Wolf that you don't expect them to win a road game, now they're going to do it. Is the law of the Wolf that they're going to flirt with actually getting to Charlotte.
And then lose to Miami in the last. Okay. State has 4 games left. They're at Syracuse, at GT. They get Pitt at home, and then they close at Miami. Syracuse also has 4 games left. State tonight, they go to VT, to SMU, and close it out at home against Virginia. I would call that pretty much a wash. And that's why, tonight is the night for NC State.
Now, Duke's going to be in Charlotte.
We know that for sure.
We know that for sure.
Duke's going to be in Charlotte, then they're going to be in Raleigh, and then ultimately they're going to be in San Antonio.
The question is, well, who going to be there, though? Who all going to be there? Look, last night was Miami's bad. Miami's bad. Really, really bad. And it allowed John Shire to do some different things with the lineup. Work on the depth, right? Isaiah Evans had a hot start.
Second game in a row. We've seen the Juice Man make some plays.
That's the thing. But Duke right now is not in a, hey, man, can you put the hammer down on bad teams? We've got that answer. Now it's the, can you please stay healthy, please? Thank you. Thanks. Now, look, Malik Brown's been out. He's had a couple of injuries this season. And now you can add Tyrese Proctor to the list. And I'm not diminishing Malik Brown. Malik Brown, to me, has always been a depth piece that helps you defensively. And when we get into March, when we get into the NCAA tournament, you're going to need Malik Brown as you get further along. But in order for Duke to do what we want them to do, get to the Final Four, they're going to need Tyrese Proctor. And that was kind of a scary moment yesterday in their win over Miami. I did text Steve Wiseman, our guy over at the News and Observer, because you can see it on TV, but you're not seeing what's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
I say, hey, man, like, how precautionary was the Proctor stuff last night? And Steve had texted back. He's like, yeah, there is some precautionary stuff, but he was clearly in discomfort when he left the court. The fact that he was using crutches, but bearing weight gingerly on that left leg as he left the arena, and that he traveled back with the team rather than stay in Miami to get tests is a good sign. That's a good sign. But again, Proctor's really important. I don't think I'm breaking any news here. And obviously we know the offensive piece to Tyrese Proctor, but he's also a really good on-ball defender. I think we recognize, and that's your identity. That's the secret sauce of this Duke team. I know I threw out that 2015 comparison earlier in the week, and I've heard from a lot of Duke fans that have said, I see where you're going with it, but this is a much better Duke defensive team than it was in 2015. And I agree. but you can't be that level without Tyrese Proctor. It's that simple.
Yeah, Duke needs to stay healthy. I mean, that's incumbent upon all of these projections are Duke being healthy.
Yes. That's what matters the most. Always what matters the most. Every time we talk about the ACC, of course, it's brought to you by our friends at Keller Williams. Check them out online. TriangleNCCommercial.com. Again, that's TriangleNCCommercial.com. You can call them at 919-616-8681. The Donnelly team, Brian and Julie, Keller Williams Commercial, they're going to help you when it comes to your commercial real estate needs. Warehouse space, retail spaces, they've got you covered on that. So hit them up at TriangleNCCommercial.com.
I'll tell you who Duke is starting to make really mad. Vegas.
Okay.
You go back to the Virginia game on the road, only 12-point favorite. They end up winning, covering easily. Then you go Illinois, a 9-point game that they win, a 9-point line that they win by 43.
Yeah.
And then last night, they made them a 23-point favorite on the road in a conference game.
It's insane.
Seriously, only Gonzaga is a 23-point favorite on the road in a conference game. And they not only did they covered by a mile. So they're starting to really piss off Vegas. You wait until that starchy game in Chapel Hill on the 8th. Right now, Ken Palm has it at 12. Can you imagine Carolina being a home dog by 12 points?
I can see it.
And they might even pump that up because of the previous meeting. So something to keep an eye on. You can get mad at me. It's one of the things I always like to look at when the run up to the NCAA tournament.
Mm-hmm.
You might think you're good, but if you outperform Vegas, then you really are good.
Yeah. I can see that being the case for Carolina being that much of a dog. Now, speaking of the Tar Heels, are you ready to get into the Palace intrigue portion of the conversation, Joe?
Yes.
There's a very interesting day in Chapel Hill as it relates to them hiring a general manager, looking like we're going to get more of a front office presence, I should say, and a weird contract extension news drop that dates back to last summer. All sorts of weird stuff. So let's go one by one in terms of how the news came out, and then we'll try to piece it together. And I'm going to float a theory to you.
Okay. As
I went full Always Sunny in Philadelphia, what's his face doing the thing with the string and the cork boards and everything else, right? So come to find out that North Carolina is hiring a general manager. Jim Tanner is going to be the GM. He's NBA agent, and he has worked with a lot of Carolina guys. He is a Carolina guy, 1990 graduate from UNC, a Moorhead Keynes scholar, attended law school at the University of Chicago. He has represented 40 first-round NBA draft picks, and there's a lot of Carolina connections in there. I'm going to give you these names. This is from Inside Carolina. He has represented 17 former Tar Heels, including Vince Carter, Joel Berry, Wayne Ellington, Sean May, Ray Felton, Tyler Hansbrough, John Henson, Justin Jackson, Luke May, Marvin Williams, Brandon Wright. Do you see a through line yet?
For all but one of them, yes.
But you see the through line, right?
Yes.
Not Vince Carter, obviously, but right. You see the through line with the rest of them.
Correct.
For those who are not picking up what I'm putting down, Roy Williams, guys. So we come to find that out. Then in that announcement, we get reports that Hubert Davis had signed a contract extension. And initially, if you just read the headline, you would think that these things coincided at the same time. Hiring a general manager, get your 2-year contract extension, gives him a bump in pay, and this would indicate to you, hey man, Hubert Davis ain't going anywhere. We have witnessed the Hubert Davis reboot, if you will. Got the general manager, you've got your front office, you got your contract extension. Let's put the rumors to a side. Except that's not what that was. For some reason, Carolina was hiding the fact that Hubert Davis had a contract extension. So I started texting my people, say, hey, what did I miss here? Was this hidden? Did I miss a press release? What's going on here? And the consensus that I could get from the people that I texted was that this had been worked on in the summer. It was agreed to at some point late summer, early fall, and then was not signed until after Thanksgiving, sometime in early December. If I understand it correctly from some folks, I think it's been reported now, it was signed the day before they got hammered by Alabama.
Okay.
So whatever. Now you, Mr. Contract Guy, you love a FOIA. agreeing to something and eventually signing the contract is not a weird thing. It takes some time from agreeing to a contract to actually signing it. We saw this with Bill Belichick earlier this year.
Yes.
It's not a foreign concept, right?
No.
Okay.
It's fairly common practice.
But you know what isn't common?
To not announce it. NC State did this 3 years ago with Kevin's first extension or second extension, actually.
Yeah.
They didn't announce it because it was an automatic trigger. That was part of Boo Corrigan's contract.
Oh, right. I
and then
remember
it became part of Kevin's contract.
Oh, yeah.
They never announced it. Yeah.
Now, why would you not announce that?
You don't want people to know.
Why don't you want people to know?
Well, in the case of State, it was I guess I can't put it in my contract and it not be in yours kind of deal.
Okay.
Why Carolina hasn't made this announcement, I don't know. Shame on them, though.
Yeah. Very, very strange messaging. As I joked on social media, oftentimes NC State gets banged on for not having the smartest engineering solutions as an engineering school, right? With Carolina, I mean, come on, y'all. Not hammering your PR message? Kind of a weird thing, right? So I think it was very calculated to not announce it because the block was kind of hot for Hubert Davis. I think it could be argued that it wasn't exactly like fans were sold on Hubert Davis going into this year. Because here's what doesn't make any sense why you would announce it. Last year, when they agreed to this stuff, what was Hubert Davis coming off of?
NCAA Sweet 16 and regular season ACC championship.
A number 1 seed, the regular season championship. Say what you want about the regular season championship, but they were atop the league. They were the top seed, and they were a number 1 seed. So why would you not say, hey, man, you got to a championship game in year 1. Yeah, we had a bad year 2, but we're back here. This is how we're going forward. That's a real easy thing to announce. So the fact that they didn't do it, red flag goes up. The fact that they announced it or it gets leaked, so to speak, along with this other stuff, gets back to the through line because I made a mistake.
Uh-oh.
I'm actually mad at myself for this. Very mad at myself for this. I dismissed an interview. Well, not dismissed. I did not pay that much attention to a recent interview Roy Williams had with a CBS Sports Radio host, Zach Gelb.
Okay.
Roy was doing some sort of promotional work for Verizon. You and I both know when Roy goes into his work, like he's got a routine.
Yeah.
Roy has stories he likes to tell. He knows which ones get the pop, you know? So Roy was in story mode, stories that you and I have heard. So I didn't really think much of it. And you had referenced that, like, yeah, he did the whole pinky thing. And I was like, yeah, whatever. So as I'm going through the through line here, I'm thinking, wait a minute, let me go back to that interview real quick. What did I miss? So here is Roy getting a question from Zach Gelb of CBS Sports Radio about Hubert Davis.
There's a lot of conversation about someone you know very well in Hubert Davis and if he's still the right guy for the job. What do you say to people that are questioning that right now?
I used to say this about Roy Williams, that I had more desire and more want to in my little finger, more passion than all the Carolina fans put together. Hubert Davis may hold up his left hand because he writes left-handed, but he has more passion and more concern in his little finger than all those people put together. He's the right person for the job. It just makes me just cringe. I mean, why do people talk? His first year, he played for the national championship. His third year, he won the regular season. There's 811 teams in the ACC now, or something close to that. He won the regular season last year. And so we've had some tough moments this year. There's no question about that. But the season's not over. I think we're going to make a run here. And I would love for it to turn around 180 degrees so I could look at all those other suckers and tell them to shut up.
That's unbelievable.
Coach, how's that going to help your ratings?
That's good. You said you're not a radio guy. You just put the cherry on top of the sundae.
Roy is so good at what he does that he even used the whatever I got to do to help your ratings. He told that to you and me multiple times. Okay. So at the end, though, Roy went into stubborn Roy mode, which now gets us to Matt Norlander, our friend over at CBS, who had an update on CBS Sports Network about the contract and how that front office is going to look.
Yeah, North Carolina is a fascinating situation across the board. Tanner's going to come on, at a source tell me he's going to be paid well over $1 million for that role. It's possible North Carolina could have the most well-paid general manager in all of men's college basketball. And if not that, certainly pretty close. Also had a source tell me Buzz Peterson is expected to join this staff as well.
I'm going to pause it right there. Joe, Do I have another through line?
Yeah, Buzz, when Roy was an assistant, he would have recruited Buzz, coached him.
Okay, just finding another through
One
line.
of Michael Jordan's closest friends from Carolina.
Yeah, part of the Roy Williams lore too. Relationship with Michael.
Buzz Peterson was in discussions to be the general manager. It looks like he's going to work hand in hand with Tanner, and it doesn't stop there. Source told me that the plan is essentially for Tanner to have something of a true front office with 3 or 4 people working with the Carolina men's basketball program to roster build, to recruit, and all of that. And this is going to start relatively soon because we don't know if North Carolina's making the tournament or not this season. But whether it does or whether it doesn't, there's going to be some key pieces that leave this roster, and most notably RJ Davis, clearly, and in addition to some others. And UNC is going to try and rebuild and do what it couldn't do this past cycle, Chris, and that is to get a roster that can compete at the highest level of the sport. It certainly will be pretty interesting. Now, keep in mind that Bill Belichick is now coaching at the University of North Carolina, and the university is putting tens and tens and tens of millions into football, a heavier investment in the football program than there's not even a close second in the history of that program. But the intriguing dynamic, and I wrote about this back in December when the Belichick hire was official, Hassel. Most people that are around North Carolina, that are fans, that grew up there, that invest their money, they care a lot more about the basketball program. And I mean a lot more. So I'm told Carolina's going to try and get that NIL pool up to, the $6 million range or so. And that's even before revenue sharing. Big times ahead. I expect Hubert Davis to return next season, but he certainly will enter it on the hot seat because he has done an up and down job. And where the state of the program is right now, it's not good, and that can be judged even by the overall reception to the fact that Davis contract news finally emerged here this week. You are not seeing widespread celebration over this contract development. The buyout is manageable if things continue to go sideways in Chapel.
So that's Matt Norlander on CBS Sports Network, kind of laying the groundwork for where Carolina's going in this reboot of the Hubert Davis coaching tenure, which officially started yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, I think Matt has the right answer here. Once they made the commitment to football, basketball was going to get something. They weren't going to just let basketball atrophy.
Mm-hmm.
So to see the structure in place, that's interesting. I mean, that's an obvious move. The one interesting part about the release from Carolina, let me pull it up here. It was that in his role, Tanner will, among other things, help manage the construction of the roster, negotiate contracts, identify and hiring a new scouting and analytics staff.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yes.
Very interesting.
Now, there's all sorts of ways you can go with this. The fact that it took this long to modernize Carolina basketball is curious. I put that on the head coach. I put that on Hubert Davis for having a vision of what you want that basketball program to be. But my takeaway from all of this is that Roy Williams has his pinky prints all over this, if you will. If he got more passion in his pinky than everybody else, clearly you and I both know, you better than most, that Roy is very stubborn when it comes to this kind of stuff. He's also very loyal when it comes to his guys. And Hubert Davis is his guy, the guy he wanted coaching. So you can't sit here and tell me, based on the through line that I just presented, that Roy has his fingerprints all over this reboot. And it'll be curious to see how it goes going forward, because this does not seem like clear messaging coming from the athletic department that we're used to seeing at a Chapel Hill. That's all I'm saying.
I promise you I'm trying to get better at this in real life and in real time.
Mm-hmm.
But do you remember we were in a hotel room with Mike Krzyzewski?
Yes. We were doing a podcast thing, and we had a little one-on-one time with Kaye in his hotel room.
We talked about him. This was while his last season. We talked about succession.
Yeah.
And I don't remember if I said it on the air or if I said it after.
Okay.
I said to him, I go, "You're the most competitive person there is." John Wooden didn't pull this off.
Right.
Bob Knight didn't pull this off.
Right.
Dean Smith didn't pull this off. So this isn't just about setting John up. This is about your legacy and you competing even when you're not coaching and getting credit for the wins.
Mm-hmm.
So Duke had it right. Okay. I think now Roy is looking at this thing going, to your point about loyalty, like no matter what else happens, he looks at what Hubert has done and says, okay, guys, let's stop being crazy here.
Oh, Norlander
right?
to your point, Norlander busted out a stat on Ion College Basketball that John Shire's on pace to have the best start of a rookie coach in the ACC.
Sure.
You know who's behind him? Hubert Davis.
Right. So I think Roy looks at this and go, again, being the competitor that he is.
Mhm.
And now, Roy, don't ever be confused about what Roy is and what he isn't. He's not obsessed with Duke. He's not.
No.
So I think he is motivated more so by Hubert being successful and seeing what his choice was to be successful. And also, to be clear, the Carolina family's choice.
Mm-hmm.
The basketball players, all of the former basketball players, or to a person, went to Bubba Cunningham and said, this is what we want.
Yeah.
Because Bubba did call Jay Wright. He did call Mark Few.
Mm-hmm.
Neither one of them wanted to come and coach Carolina for whatever differing reasons.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
So keep that in mind. So this was a consensus choice from the people who had built this program, who are still alive. Right. So Roy is always going to be competitive, but and to your point, he's also going to be loyal. But never forget that I was right, because I said it to Krzyzewski while it was happening, and he was spelling it out for us.
Mm-hmm.
This is what they do in the military. This is what they did at Apple. This is what they did at IBM. Here's what they do. Here's what I'm trying to do. Well, look what he did.
The competitiveness shows itself in different ways.
Sure.
And Roy is showing you once
Now,
again
yeah.
that he might be. Well, I think he's always been this way. Now that he's retired, he is.
Don't forget, Hubert's the one who put Kaye out.
Yes.
So you can kind of sit there and go, I don't have to do all this stuff.
But now,
but listen, but here's the thing though, and some people bristle when I say this to you as a Carolina fan. You have been unbelievably blessed for 54 years to have Roy Williams and Dean Smith.
Mhm.
Unbelievably.
Mhm.
And the old way is that those two coaches were enough to build you, to drag you from what you were to what you became.
yeah,
A national power, the best college basketball program. And when you haven't had those two guys, you have not been the best college basketball program. So you take it for granted, okay? You, Roy, everyone takes it for granted that we're just going to do what we've been doing because we've been successful.
that changed this year.
And you look at Hubert and you go look at his first year, and we're in the national championship and we beat Duke and blah, 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 blah. So you're not going to sit here and go, no, we have to change. You sit here and look at it and go, we've got another one of those.
Yeah,
But I got news for you. I'm not sure there is another one of those out there.
there might not be.
So you have to have that structure. And that's where Kaye had the foresight to say, here's how the game is changing. Here's how we're going to adapt.
Mhm.
This is Carolina now in year 4 for Hubert finally saying, all right, you're right. We have to change. We have to adapt.
And that's where I'll close my thoughts on this. I bring all this up because I want people to see what I'm seeing. And I am seeing Roy Williams still very much involved with what's going on with Carolina basketball. It might look like he just shows up to games and he's like an unofficial mascot and he takes pictures and it's like he'll tell stories and all that stuff. But clearly, he is still a factor behind the scenes and shaping what Carolina basketball is. And if you don't see it with the reboot, I cannot help you, because that's what this is. Now, I can point out that the reboot is happening because of Roy Williams, or at least my theory that the reboot is happening specifically because of Roy Williams and his competitiveness and his stubbornness and his belief and loyalty in Hubert Davis. But I want to be clear. I'm not hating on this. They should be doing this.
Yeah.
This has to happen at Carolina basketball. It has to happen. Now, how does it work? I don't know. Too many cooks in the kitchen. You got Tanner, you got Buzz, you got Hubert. Who's doing the construction of the roster? I like this guy, but I don't think this guy's right. All that stuff needs to be sorted out. And I don't know how it's going to play out. But I think everybody can agree this is exactly what Carolina needed to do. The fact that it took 4 years into Hubert's tenure, you can point out that, hey, man, you should have seen this from the jump. Fine. I don't disagree. I'm on that train. But being smart, being able to adapt, understanding where things are and changing is just as big a part of coaching and evolving as anything else. So I give credit for them to get to this point.
Why wouldn't Roy help though?
Right.
You
Why
know,
wouldn't he?
It also goes back to our
Well, I think I know why. I know Roy probably doesn't want to be seen as somebody behind the
Sure,
scenes
but-
pulling the strings because he wants Hubert to be his own guy.
But at some point, and I think we've reached that point, you need help and you have to ask for help.
and that's where we're at.
And that's where we're at. Now I want to tell you something else when it comes to Roy that I had been thinking about as well. And I had made this point to him in one of our interviews. He never gets enough credit for bringing the Carolina family back together.
This is part of it.
Never.
Too. This is part of
He
it.
never does.
Yep.
Like, you guys were in this spiral. Like, all of the people having this existential crisis that you could really be Indiana. The reason you're not already 15 years into being Indiana is because of Roy Williams and his decision to come back and save your program.
This is an extension of
Okay.
This is an extension
and you say Jim Tanner, Moorhead Scholar. Who else was a Moorhead Scholar? Oh, yeah, John Swafford. Right? Like, no, that's all part of the Carolina family.
No, I
That's
get
all
it.
Dean Smith leaving the money for the manager from the 1967 team. Like, they really believed everyone played a part. Everyone played a role. To wrap it up, though, I wouldn't be worried about too many cooks. I suspect, without knowing Jim Tanner, Jim Tanner is an agent, so he'll work on contracts and negotiations. The college representation is the wild, wild west from the agents that I've talked to.
It is, yeah.
Because it's not considered a contract; it's considered an endorsement. So these vultures are getting 20 to 30 to sometimes even 40% of these deals. In the NBA, there's a cap on the deal. In the NFL, there's a cap on the deal because it's an actual contract.
Yeah, there's no cap.
So you do need someone to speak the language of some of these agents. That's number one. And then I suspect Buzz Peterson is your talent evaluator. Now you have a staff that you build around him, and you kind of see where it goes from there. But no, look, where Carolina is, hey, man, you and I need help. We ask for help. Where Hubert Davis is, he needs help. He asks for help.
Housekeeping.
Big thanks to Enovana. Check them out online at enovana.com. Green cleaning solutions.
If you have mess inside your mansion or trash in your cabana, get it clean with Enovana.
Oh, we haven't done this in a while. It's probably time to hit you with one.
All mixed up, you don't know what to do. I guess we'll clarify and correct something or two. Cause you know what Joe is not the first or the last. And they've gone wrong in the past.
There are times where I make the mental note that I need to edit something in the podcast. And then I thought I edited it, but I did not edit that portion of the podcast. And then I have a freak out in that. Did I leave something in the podcast that the listeners don't need to hear?
Oh, like the time you motherfucked Dimitri before an entire podcast?
Like that.
Yeah.
Like that. Well, yeah, it happened again yesterday. I had that realization that I had forgotten I had a coughing fit.
Oh, and you forgot to edit.
And I forgot to edit that out.
Nice.
So I
but you even said, "Oh, don't worry, I'm going to edit this out."
Yes, I had one listener tweet at me. The best part was you said you'll edit this out. Yeah, sorry about that.
It's like an Easter egg.
Yeah, and another correction and clarification. This actually comes to us from the OG Sports Phone.
No, damn it! I thought the 25th meant the end of the day of the 25th. Crap! No hat. I'll wait for the next access. Dang it. I'm so pissed off with myself.
Had a few people, but like, wait a minute. You said the 25th. I forgot to tell you it was 25th at 8 a.m.
Ooh.
That's when the store closed. But the vault is closed.
Hey, just so you know, all of this basics dealings are on above the table. They're
yeah.
I don't know what this access is you're talking about.
We have access for other things. And that's readily available.
It's totally legit.
We put it back in the vault.
Come on down, IRS.
And now
Come on down.
I already have the next design. I already have the next design for the hat and the OG hat vault.
Okay.
That'll probably come out around Memorial Day. Let it simmer a little bit.
Well, no, we need before then, because if NC State misses
the
ACC tournament, we need drunk wolf shorts.
That is
on the regular, and hurry.
That's actually I was in contact with Basics about, hey, we're looking at NC State and their destination Charlotte. It could end here real quick, so we need the drunk OG ready to go.
Yeah.
So that's in the process of happening right now. But that's a shirt. I'm talking about the hat vault.
Oh, different
thing. Hat vault is different from.
Sorry, I thought it was an OG vault. I didn't realize it was a hat vault.
No, it's the OG hat vault.
Okay.
Hat vault. Okay. That's all I'm saying. Shirts, come up with a different gimmick for that one. Anyway. So yeah, there's a little bit of housekeeping for you. We were talking about road games and things like that for NC State and whether or not destination Charlotte's going to be a thing. Well, if NC State's going to get there, guess what they have to do? Win on the road, which means the two Roosters is going to have to do the BOGO. Haven't done it all year. Is it going to happen tonight, Joe? We get BOGO tomorrow with two Roosters. Celebrate.
You can always celebrate with an Oreo cake.
This is true. This is true.
Do yourself a favor.
Go to tworoosters.com. Find out their flavors. And maybe tomorrow you'll be doing a BOGO because NC State won on the road. Big thanks to our friends at Rowback. Giglio's rocking his Rowback today. He's got the sweet hoodie. It's got little golf clubs and flags on it, which is very, very nice. You can get something like that at rowback.com right now. Use the promo code OG20 to save 20% off your order. They even have things like gym shorts. I went on a stupid walk for my stupid mental health yesterday, and I got to break out my rowback shorts, my gym shorts. Super comfortable, nice and flowy. Let the boys breathe. Went on a nice walk.
Nice.
You can get that at Rowback with that promo code. Or if you're not going to go on a walk and you actually got to do a little bit more, hey, that's where our friends at O2 Fitness Clubs come into play. Check out o2fitnessclubs.com because they are more than a gym.
O2 Fitness, so much more than a gym.
So o2fitnessclubs.com is the website. They've got Renew Physiotherapy, Loop Nutrition, which will help you make some better choices when it comes to eating. And of course, a partnership with Thrive. LiveThrive.co is the website. You can find out about weight loss solutions, oral testosterone treatments, and you don't have to leave your couch. You can just you can be chilling, realizing you're having your two roosters. You go, you know what? I should probably do something about this. So you go to LiveThrive.co in your Rowback hoodie, and you find out what you can do with our friends at O2 Fitness and Thrive. LiveThrive.co, because you're going to get more from thems, much like you can get more from our friends at Whitaker and Hamer. Check them out online, wh.lawyer. Again, that's wh.lawyer, attorneys and counselors at law. We thank them for being an OG corporate champion from the jump. Joining us on the Heister Automotive Group hotline from Indianapolis, I do not see Shrimp Cocktail anywhere in his vicinity. He is Mike Kaye from the Charlotte Observer. Mike, what's going on, man?
Hey, fellas. Just out here in the Midwest, although I'm on Eastern Standard Time, which is kind of confusing, and you're probably seeing people walk behind me because a lot of coming and going in here, but I'm here, as my grandma used to say.
You're here. So are the Panthers. I saw Dave Canales, Dan Morgan meeting with the media, answering some questions about what they're looking for in the combine. But before we move forward with the Panthers, let's actually go backwards a little bit because there's been some transactional news, and I guess some of the stuff makes sense. I think the biggest news being that Shaq Thompson done. They're moving on. That ends a particular era. Is this just a complete reforming of what they want to do defensively? Was it a contract situation they weren't comfortable paying because of injuries? How did this all play out and the thinking behind Shaq Thompson?
Well, I think he's your third linebacker at this point on the depth chart. And so to pay a veteran who has played 6 games in the last 2 years, more than the veteran minimum at this point, when you can just draft an inside linebacker, it's not very advantageous. And I think something that Brent Tillis and Dan Morgan are doing is they're not allowing emotion or connection or whatever kind of fuel their thought process. I know they brought back Andy Dalton, which I'm sure you're going to ask me about, and they brought back JJ Jansen, but I think their roles are more in stewardship and functionality, and linebacker is a functionality position and something they need to get high functionality out of. And you can't just trust a guy who's coming off 2 major season-ending leg injuries to produce and then pay him millions of dollars to do so.
This is a little bit different, Mike. The Panthers have all of their picks. Am I looking at this correctly? It may not be their pick in the second round, but they at least have a 2. So it almost feels like a normal combine, normal off season. Am I misreading this for you?
No, I think that's a good read. They have 9 draft picks, including the 8th overall pick. They obviously pulled off that trade last year to get the second round pick from the Rams this year. There is quite a wait in between those first and second round picks, 8 to 57. I mean, you could file your taxes probably in between, but I think that also presents an opportunity. I think that this draft, in talking to people around the league, feels like a top 5 and then huge drop off draft. And so if you can trade back and find a sucker to do so, I think you can add to your pick allotment, not just this year, but next year. And I think the Panthers are going to be in an interesting spot because I'm calling this the will pressure point top 10. because the two Wills, Will Johnson from Michigan and Will Campbell from LSU, are really going to determine what happens in that back half of the top 10, because there's a huge drop off in the corner group and a huge drop off in the offensive tackle group once those two guys are off the board. And so let's say Johnson's off the board, Mason Graham, who I think would be the slam dunk pick for the Panthers, is off the board. They don't feel like Jalen Walker fits the value as a hybrid player at that 8th pick. Trade back, get yourself Kenneth Grant in the teens, and then maybe get yourself another day 2 pick while you're at it from a team that really needs to upgrade the offensive tackle position.
So you're thinking, so you think the Panthers stay at 8, or are they going to try to find, because you said that drop off, I mean, at that point, who's going to try to move up at that point? They stay at 8?
Well, I think they're going to be very diligent in trying to find partners to trade back.
Okay.
I think Dan is a scout at heart. I think he wants to have as many lottery picks as possible. And again, waiting from 8 to 57 is a long, long wait. This is a very, very good front 7 draft. We obviously know the Panthers need front 7 help more than they need oxygen.
Mm-hmm.
And so to wait that long in between picks, I think, is not very advantageous. It's great that they had that 2nd round pick, which they were able to recover after the Bryce Young trade. But I think if you look at their opportunity, like their opportunity avenues from a trade standpoint, it's like trading back from 8 and then maybe trading Jadeveon Clowney. And you have to have somebody want Jadeveon Clowney for that to work. So, like, outside of that, they really don't have tradable assets. And this team has shown that they are willing to be aggressive on the trade market.
How much does it help that both of these quarterbacks that we think are going to go before the Panthers pick probably wouldn't be, or not graded as, top 7 picks? It does seem like it does have the potential to push a player down to them. Maybe even Graham. I don't know if he gets that far, but it does feel like it's an actual advantageous position for the Panthers to draft, because they don't need a quarterback, and those other teams might reach and push a really good player down to them.
Yeah, it's interesting, like the dichotomy of it all, because like the final 8 games, you could say, hey, tank to get a better pick.
Right.
But also, Bryce Young playing as well as he did those final 8 games made having a pick that early not necessarily that dire. And so you say to yourself, Shadur Sanders and Cam Ward, who I think in most drafts would probably be like the J.P. Lossman, Christian Ponder-esque first-round pick, are now being looked at as Burrow, the Burrows, the Staffords, and whatever at the top of the draft. And I think, like you said, it is advantageous for them if they play their cards right. Like, one thing the Eagles and the Chiefs do very well is they understand the tone of the league, and they understand like and if Brant Tillis and Dan Morgan can play this properly from a value standpoint, if your board is 6 players deep, that you're going to get one of those 6 players because the quarterback's not considered part of that board. I think they need so much help that if they can't find a trade back partner, they can fill a need with a major prospect anyway. And so it's kind of like, fill what you need to do in free agency. Don't be afraid to double dip. And, hopefully somebody falls in love with a third quarterback, and that creates a demand. Like, to me, Shadur is what people that hate on JJ McCarthy think JJ McCarthy is.
Right.
And Cam is kind of like, he's not like a unicorn, but he's like a guy you're just kind of like, yeah, he's good, but is he the guy? And this is the best of the class. So it's interesting to see kind of the national conversation. I don't think the Panthers would have wanted to take either one of these guys had Bryce bottomed out.
I think 10 years ago, Cam Ward, you have a different thought. Now you look at what Daniels did at Washington, and all of a sudden it's like, no, look, wait, he's one of him.
Wait.
It's one of those.
We could do this. So what you're telling me is my fever dreams for Travis Hunter won't happen for the Carolina Panthers. There's nothing they can package to potentially move up and get that guy.
He's essentially your third quarterback. Here's what's funny. So, I think there are 4 guys who are going to be drafted within the top 5 that I feel like, you can feel pretty good about.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
going to be the two quarterbacks. It's going to be Abdul Carter, and it's going to be Travis Hunter.
Right.
I think like from there, you reset your board, and you're like the next four are probably like Will Johnson, Will Campbell, Jalen Walker, maybe James Pierce, maybe Ted McMillan, who I'm very interested to see how he runs because I've watched film on him. He's like an incredible athlete. He's got great concentration. He's got great coordination, something I have neither of. But similar to me, it does not feel like he runs fast. And I'm curious to see if he runs in the 4.6 or God forbid the 4.7s, how that shifts the conversation at wide receiver, because I don't think this wide receiver class is particularly appealing.
Okay.
I'm not a Panthers fan, but if they take a corner at number 8, I will storm their building in protest. I don't give a shit how good you think the kid from Michigan
Do
is.
I got to get you a Viking helmet?
Please.
Okay.
Please.
All right.
Please. Do not, Mike, do whatever you need to do to make sure they don't take a corner. Please.
I mean, it's going to be really to see what happens with Mike Jackson, because Mike Jackson, like this corner free agent class is terrible. Like it's a lot of names you've heard of, but they're all entering like their third contracts, so 29 to 32. They've had injury histories. Like Jadarius Ward's obviously dealt with a lot of personal like issues that are awful. His family, and then like had a down year. I mean, Carlton Davis is kind of a really good number 2 corner, but you know what I mean? So it's Mike Jackson could cash in. I just don't see it. And I think the Panthers would like to have him back. If they sign him, I think you can move on to other needs. I think Will Johnson's probably pick number 5 or 6.
Okay. You brought up
good. Let someone else make a mistake and take a corner in the first 10 picks.
It's funny. You brought up the Andy Dalton thing earlier. Like I'm sure you're going to ask me about that. I don't know what there is to talk about with Andy Dalton, other than it's a good relationship. Clearly, Dave Canales trusts Andy Dalton as a backup quarterback. You know, you can go back to him if the Bryce Young thing kind of falls off from the momentum of the end of the season and things like that. This always made a lot of sense to me, unless we're getting very nitty gritty into cap space. But other than that, that makes sense to me.
I think he serves basically as another quarterback's coach, which is like important. They're kind of like, why re-sign this guy? But then again, their logic is sign Jameis Winston, who turns the ball over at an incredible clip, and I wouldn't call him like the best influence.
Hold up. Who was asking the Panthers to go out and sign Jameis Winston?
I get tweets all the time, man. It's wild. Twitter is a crazy place. But what I would say to you is I think Andy actually shows a further investment in Bryce Young.
Yes.
He's keeping the consistency there, which I think is important. I also think, you know, while Bryce had that success during that final 8 weeks, I think creating static there is better than creating sabotage. And I think bringing in a new backup signifies, well, hey, here's an actual backup plan.
Right.
To him, there's no threat with Andy. Andy knows what his job is. Andy wanted to be in Charlotte. Like, his family loves it here. I mean, who could blame them? It's Charlotte. But I think everybody kind of knows what their role is with that sort of situation, and that's important. I think Bryce benefits from static as opposed to the strain of growing pains.
Hey, before we say goodbye, and you go back to combine things there in Indy, you figured out who the secret team was that wants to ban the tush push? You figured that out yet?
I haven't, but I don't want to make a tushy out of you and me, but sorry, I hang out with a 6-year-old and a 1-year-old a lot.
Yeah.
But I mean, I know the Packers were complaining pretty openly before the Super Bowl. Here's the thing. People say that there's no skill to it. Well, then why does only one team actually benefit from it? Skill, the literal definition of skill is being good at something consistently. I mean, when Josh Allen, who, you know, probably could bench more than all of us combined, can't do it, like, There's skill involved. And I think, you know, we always talk about like, don't, you know, people that get mad at people like mocking them when they're losing or whatever, be better, right? Like that's what it is. I do think the Frankie Luvu stuff was genuinely embarrassing for the league, but like that's also not the way to stop it either. So I just don't I don't know what the solution is.
You just the solution is that Jalen Hurts eventually retires. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. That is your solution. He'll eventually retire, or he'll get to a point in his career where he just can't do it anymore, or he gets hurt. So I mean,
I think what's lost in it is not Jalen Hurts. It's that Jason Kelsey and Cam Jurgens get so low as low center of gravity centers. They're so unique in their body type and so comparable to each other that it gives you that extra push. Because if you can get low, I mean, it's probably terrible for their necks, but if you can get really low on the ball on the snap, I mean, it's like you're, you know, if you go to the beach and you're digging with a shovel, if you can shovel in, it kind of gives you all the momentum.
Yeah, look, I'm in agreement with you. It is a skill thing. You have the right players to make this work. If everybody could do it, they would be doing it. And the attempts that we've seen to try it have not necessarily worked out. And I think it's just a lot of typical NFL. You got some butthurt owners and front office people that don't like this because they feel like they've got some unfair advantage. No, they just figured something out that you didn't. Simple as that. You shouldn't ban it because it's successful. Mike Kaye, Charlotte Observer, covers the Panthers. He's in Indy. You need to go to St. Elmo's and get some of that cocktail sauce. I know you're tired. It'll wake you up.
So I went to Tony's instead last night and got it. And I'm actually heading out now because I'm trying to grow as a person and realize that being at the combine for 7 days instead of being with my wife and kid is probably not all that advantageous when there's only like 6 North Carolina based kids here. So Dan and Dave already talked, but as you can tell from my voice, I'm tired.
Hey man, the NFL grind does not stop. It's like, oh, they got a Super Bowl. We got a little break. No, combine time. Back for yet another networking event for all owners, media, front office people, and everything else. Time to hear coaches talk about stuff again. It never stops, man. It never stops.
No, it does not.
All right, dude. We'll have a safe trip back. Enjoy some family time. We'll talk to you later.
Thanks for having me as always.
Have you didn't make it to Indianapolis, did you?
I have been to Indianapolis once. It was not for a Final Four or the Combine, though. So I haven't really seen it hum.
You've not seen it hum.
Or the Super Bowl was there as
Have
well.
you been to St. Elmo, though?
I did get to St. Elmo, yes.
What did you think? So for those who aren't aware, St. Elmo is this very famous steakhouse in Indianapolis where all these NFL people or muckety mucks like to go to when there's a big event there. What did you think? And they're famous for their cocktail sauce.
I was
very spicy.
I want to say this was 5 or 6, 05, 06 in that era, maybe even 04. I think it was before it was a phenomenon that the cocktail sauce was like a must do because I did not get the shrimp or the cocktail sauce.
Well, all I know is that once we get into the spring and the pollen is out, I would like somebody to ship me that cocktail sauce because it will clear out my nasal passages.
Nice.
In a wonderful way. But yeah, it's the spot. Much like our friends at Longleaf are the spot in downtown Raleigh. Longleaf is like the San Elmo. You got to go.
Got to.
And when the NCAA tournament's in town, that's the place to hang out. They got the TVs, they got the good food, and you can just head to the arena after that. So check out our friends at longleafswine.com for more. Brunch is fantastic. The smash burgers off the charts, but of course, they're not anywhere without their barbecue. Great Eastern style barbecue, great brisket. It's all at our friends at Longleaf Swine. And speaking of the tournament, you want to be repping the good stuff when you go. So go to Home Field Apparel. Homefieldapparel.com is the website. OG24 is the promo code to get 15% off your order. Actually dropping Speed Week. They just dropped this new Dale Earnhardt collection.
Ooh,
dude, it's sick. So if you haven't used
speaking of OGs,
if you haven't used the promo code yet, and you take a gander at that Dale Earnhardt collection, you might want to use it finally. So again, go use that promo code OG24 at homefieldapparel.com. Big thanks to our friends at Mosquito Authority and Pest Authority. Bugsbite.com is the website. Get that moisture barrier. It's clutch, okay? And also start thinking about your outdoor plans as the weather gets nice. It's gorgeous right now, but you know it's going to get hot. The mosquitoes are going to come out. better get that plan on the table right now. So go to bugsbite.com. I mentioned the moisture barrier. It might be something that your HVAC people might tell you. You can work in concert, right? Tell you all the things that you might need underneath your house. You might have old ductwork. You might need more than just a moisture barrier to get a handle on things like mustiness in your house. Well, our friends at 1-800-PLUMBER and Air can help you with that. Plumbing needs, emergency services, 24/7 support. They got you. And of course, with Air, they can take care of your HVAC needs. So contact them today. Go to the website, 1-800-PLUMBER. Obviously, you can call them because the name is the number, 1-800-PLUMBER. Joe, do you have a hot and cold?
I have a hot, this comes from Robbie White.
Okay.
Joe and Joe jinxed Georgia into that win over Florida. Crazy like a fox because I took them dogs plus 6.5 last night. And yes, they won outright after so many close calls. That was, Mike White is the coach at Georgia. He used to be at Florida. His dad is Kevin White, former Duke AD and also the Notre Dame Don. So, that game was ripe for the picking there. So, yes, go dogs.
My cold of the week goes to
not of the week, just Wednesday.
Or it's just Wednesday. My cold of Wednesday are the Duke fans that continue to take my Quinn Cook statement. He was there for 100 years, literally, and using it as a way to slam Carolina.
See, he doesn't know. Oh, no. It's different. Okay, I see what you're saying now.
I get it. He was there for 4 years, but remember, like, even then with freshmen and all that kind of stuff, it was, especially at Duke, it was a lot to see people there for 4 years, even then. I think Lee Melchione was there for like 8 years too, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, I could do this all day. No, it was Christensen. Where's the guy named Christensen?
Yeah.
Wasn't he there for
Matt Christensen?
I felt like Matt Christensen was there. I could do this all day. There were guys that were there that felt like they were there for 6 years. Okay.
Yeah.
They were the Perry Ellises of Duke. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And Perry Ellis was probably only there for 5, right? But it felt longer than that.
But yeah.
So Duke fans, stop being so serious all the time. There's a reason why you guys aren't fun at parties, man. Jeez. Relax. All right, we have a little bit of a hybrid segment that is driven by the OG sports phone. So let's get started.
919-444-2211. Call the OG sports phone and curse or don't.
All right, this came to us from a 252 number.
Morning, Joes. A little feeder for what I think you guys may at least talk about a little bit today. The news that NC State has decided to have closed spring practices and not a publicly attendable spring game. When I first saw this yesterday, I was like, it's a nothing burger. Not a big deal. I enjoy the spring games. They're always, a day to go out and tailgate and see a semblance of football after, months of not having something to watch related to football. Anyway, not a big deal to me, right? Then I was telling my daughters about it this morning. I have 2 daughters, 12 and 9, and they were both genuinely disappointed. And I was like, I'm kind of surprised by that. But I got thinking back, they've gone to spring games the last 3 or 4 years. They've gone to meet the Pac days the last 3 or 4 years. And I'm sound like old man here for a second. I wasn't mad that they're canceling the spring game, just disappointed. Especially after my kids showed interest in wanting to go, and I was like, man, that stinks for not having it. And I get the new world of sport, I get the new world of college athletics, the money, NIL, and I'm all for all of it. Like I'm not. It typically doesn't bother me. I miss some things about the way things were, but progress, change, all the things. But I do think it's a missed opportunity because if we're thinking about building long-term fans and building the future potential NIL donors, access is a big part of it. And I think having things like the spring game actually gives kids good access and builds those core memories. It instills in them wanting to go. It's the reason why I have women's basketball tickets for a lot of reasons, because my girls love going and they have access to some of the girls, after games. So they, just the things that come with it. So I think it's part of building long-term fandom. It's the reason that both of you guys, Joe, you traveled, a lot for kids hockey. Joe, you're coaching your kids basketball team. I do really nice car payments so that my girls can do swim team. It's it's all about, where your kids, your money goes. And so, so I think it's a little bit of a missed opportunity, a little bit of disappointment. I get the new world of sport, but, at first I thought it was a nothing burger, but I was like, this actually isn't great. So here's the punchline. I hope I don't get cut off. It's just another thing I can blame Matt Rule for, right? First he ruins my Panthers. Now he's ruining college athletics. Y'all have a good day.
I kind of hate that Matt Rule gets credit for this when
He doesn't.
Mac Brown was the one last year who said, I'm not showing you people anything.
Yeah. So it's
He just didn't come out and spell it out that way. Matt Rule did spell it out that way. Like, hey, man, I've got a really good third string tight end, and he's going to transfer to Rutgers if we have a spring game. All of this is about control.
Mhm.
All of this about, and to the caller's point, the point of colleges being covered by the media and having a relationship with the media and giving them credentials and all of the other things that are a standard part of the process was a way of promoting the program to the public, a way of getting your message out to the fans. Now these schools look at that and go, no, the media is dead. We don't care.
Well,
we're going to control this ourselves.
They can do it themselves.
And so but when
They
you
have the ACC network.
when you control it yourself, then you get to the Texas A&M situation of, oh no, we're not going to talk after losses. You get into this spring situation of, we're not going to have it because someone's going to pilfer our backup punter, as if that's a real thing. Okay, get out of here. I'm not saying don't have a spring day. Do what you want to do.
Yeah.
Because clearly you're going to. To this caller's point, though, what is preventing NC State football from having a long toss competition?
See, now
bring a fan out, have a race like the Freeze with the Braves. Here's a 90-yard head start. Let's see if you can beat Noah Rogers in a 100-yard race.
Yeah.
What's stopping them from playing duck, duck, goose? I don't know. Pick a thing. Don't even sell tickets. Have it go to the collective.
Was it Nebraska that basically did a gong show last year? I want to say they didn't do like any actual football. They did one big variety show essentially.
What he's saying is it's the event, the idea of going out to the stadium and tailgate. So here's what I will say to you. We're going to pick a date in April where we go to a Canes game and have an OG tailgate. You come out. We'll actually park on that side. We'll go over and physically park on the stadium side, we will tailgate.
You can replicate it?
Correct.
Okay, fair enough.
That's our next event. We'll do that in April.
Okay.
See how hard that was? Oh, my gosh. Oh, wow, so hard. Oh, my God.
I think there's a couple of things going on here. I think one of them is cultural. One of them is coach paranoia. The coach paranoia is really easy to explain because all coaches are like this.
Correct.
Matt Rule, hits all the
Potato,
same.
potato.
At this point, it's whatever. Dave Doeren is doing what other coaches are doing. He's not alone. It's fine. I get it. And Dave's probably going at it from the perspective of, well, if they're not doing it, well, then why do we have to do it? And
don't say they. If UNC is not doing it.
Yeah.
There will be a perpetual, remember that. When they do stuff or don't do stuff, the number one thing that they say is, well, when was Bill Belichick available? I mean, so
exactly.
What do you expect out of us?
Exactly. Rather than going at it from a different perspective of how we can own a PR message,
right?
They're just looking at it from, UNC is giving me an out.
We don't have to.
We don't have to.
Yeah.
That's small dick energy. I don't know how else to put it. It's small dick energy, which gets to a little bit of a cultural also, where is the program at? Let's go back 15 years. Okay. All these things run together now.
Whoa.
But there was a point in time
my brain now.
for the youngins out there. There was a point in time when NC State football was running hot and they got like 15,000 people at Carter Finley Stadium. They filled up one side of Carter Finley Stadium.
Yeah.
The shady side for a spring game. Okay. And that was used as, speaking of members, putting it on the table to show you how big it was compared to UNC, who couldn't get people to show up to a spring game. But see, we got the football culture. We have the people who are motivated. We have people tailgating. Our stuff is better than your stuff. And this spring game is yet another example.
I know which game you're talking about. You do have to give Tom some credit. It was Tom O'Brien.
It was Tom O'Brien.
Tom O'Brien was the one who renamed it the Kaye spring game.
Yes.
And it was free, but they took donations and they gave it to the Kaye Cancer Fund. So their most successful years, they
raised money.
They did.
They raised money.
And Dave has a foundation, GG's Playhouse, that he had been using the spring game to help that cause too.
Which gets to the other issue. If people are not exactly all in on your football program, spring games end up being kind of a eyesore.
Correct.
And this is where you have to get to your point, rebranding it, rethinking it, making it some sort of fan fest. But if the fans are already annoyed with you, then you might just say, forget it altogether. Matt Brown over at Extra Points, it's a newsletter that covers the business of college sports. He had written this back when Matt Rule made a big stink about Nebraska and everything else. And I thought these stats were interesting. He said that here are the schools that have had over 50,000 fans show up to a spring game. Ohio State leads the nation in getting people to show up for spring games. They had 80,000 people show up for a spring game. Alabama was second with 72,000 plus. Penn State had 67,000. Nebraska had 60,000. Georgia had 55,000. He points out over the last decade or so, those programs have been near the top of any spring game annual attendance that he could find. Here's a list of all the other schools that brought over 50,000 fans last year. 0.
Sure.
Right? So you start getting into what these spring games really are. Duke was doing spring games. Do you really think people were showing up to go to Duke spring games? So when they were used and when it was at a point in time where it was the hot thing to show you how many people were showing up for glorified practice.
But that also goes back to Butch Davis, who got Carolina's spring game on TV.
Yes.
That was a coup.
It was because it was a promotion for your school. But now everybody does it.
Right.
And you could just, they have a spring game week on the ACC network, which is a TV show, which then gets to another thing. If Dave's going to do access for the ACC network, much like Mac Brown did last year, I mean, that's fine because that's a way for you to watch it. It's become television programming at that point. But I think we can all agree that you have to rethink these spring games because getting 20,000 people to show up to Carter Finley Stadium for a glorified practice, that's just not what it is anymore. Just straight up not what it is anymore. So that was that caller-driven topic. We have another one on the OG Sports phone, which you can call 919-444-2211. It's brought to you by Nature's Relief. Check them out online at naturesreliefhempstore.com.
We are going to be at Nature's Relief next Thursday in the G. So come hit us up. If you've never been over to Timber Drive, come check out that spot. Great location. Next Thursday, live at 1?
Live at 1, sure. Okay. Live at 1. We'll do it live at 1. The next call is actually getting us into a hockey.
Let's take a break. Let's take a hockey break. Brought to you by Happy and Hill.
Because the Carolina Hurricanes, I feel, are still on the Four Nations break. Are they still on it?
I don't want to be an alarmist, but last night was
bad.
It
was bad. Contact our friends at Happy and Hill. Actually, don't contact them. Download the app. Use our promo code OG25.
Oh, keep talking.
Okay, so use the promo code OG25. That makes it super easy for you to get in and out for a lunch. Go get a smoothie, a bowl. They're delicious bowls. You can pick it up and go. Super convenient. Makes for a good date night too. But use that promo code OG25 to save on that first order when you use the app. But we also have something else.
Yeah, do what Bill O'Donnell did. Use the promo code, email it to me, and you could win the OG Happy and Hell Black Card, an executive card that will get you discounts at Happy and Hell. We have one a week to give away.
I love it.
From now until the end of the Hurricanes run. So congrats to Bill for being the first to do that. But yeah, it's not that hard. Take a screen grab showing me that you use that OG promo code and you will have a chance to be a Black Card member.
All right, this comes to us from a 910 number.
Oh, buddy. Guess who's back? The old Eric Tulsky special, baby. 4-0 Habs. Have at it, boys. Good God, what has happened to the Hurricanes? This is just unbelievable. And really, it's inexcusable. We got to do better. We got too much money, too good of a coach. We have decent goaltenders. I agree with you guys. Probably needs to be a conversation about your boy Pyotr Kochetkov. But it's just it shouldn't be this bad. You lose a few guys last year, right? Pesci, Shea, those tough, Tavo, right? But that shouldn't wreck the team. And this is the time, we should just be thriving, right? Last half of the season, gunning for the playoffs. Man, this is bad. I mean, this is bad. I understand our points. We're still up there. Got a long way to go to catch Washington, but man. Anyway, really love the show, guys, and really, really glad I found out about the hotline. Had some fun calls to you guys before. So sometimes I'll keep it PG, sometimes not. But anyway, I really appreciate you guys playing the calls on the podcast. Love you, Joe and Joe. Call back in soon. Canes suck.
All right. So a couple of weeks ago, I made an exaggerated rant about firing everybody.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, last night, Corey Laviolette, North State Journal, was tweeting through the game, what the Canes were up to.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I think, remember the old, who really wanted to fire Roy Williams? And you would be like, nobody really wanted to fire Roy Williams.
Nobody
right?
actually wanted to fire Roy Williams.
But I found this last night from, this is a response to one of Corey's tweets. It was talking about defense and how the defense is a problem.
Sure, it is a problem.
Because I agree. But the obvious discussion is coaching. Coach's number one job is to get the best out of the players, and Rod and company haven't done that. Talent is there. Oh, yeah. And they just traded away their most talented guy because of Rod's coaching style. Rod needs to adapt. Period.
Whoa.
I really want to send this Dustin 927. I don't know what part of reality. Like, I should find him like a stuffed unicorn.
I mean, we are scheduled to talk to Rod tomorrow.
Santa Claus.
Yeah.
The Tooth Fairy. Just send them all to these things, because I don't know what form of reality or what multiverse that he lives in.
We got a text to the sport. You can text the sports phone as well. This is from a 919. Hey, Joe.
Rod needs to adapt.
Well, hold on a second. Hey, Joe, I used to think that NC State's lunatic fringe was the worst, but I see Canes fans questioning whether Rod Brindamore should be replaced. Holy shit. Could you be more delusional? By the way, this is going to be on OG Fans today on ogtrianglemedia.com. Tom Edwards, who writes about the Canes for us at ogtrianglemedia.com, is going to touch the third rail as it relates to Rod Brindamore. I do think there's a happy medium about Rod as a coach on a couple of different levels. You get mad at Greg Wyshynski of ESPN when he brings this up.
Yeah.
I understand where Wyshynski's coming from, because it does come from a place that the Canes and players recognize this, that the heat here on not winning is not the same as the heat in Toronto.
Sure.
So I remember this conversation had somebody within the Canes organization related to Eric Stahl, who was not happy with the way he had been criticized. And that person said, spend a week in Toronto as the captain and get back to me about how you feel you're being treated right now with a losing record. Okay. And the point absolutely stands. So the question is valid. I do think it's a valid thing to point out, hey, man, spending to the cap and the results with it, Rod would probably be done at another organization, because coaches get, how many different spots has John Tortorella been at, man? Like, you run through coaches and pros. It's the NHL and the
Rod
NBA.
Doesn't have that personality.
It's not the personality. What I'm getting is that sometimes the room needs a different voice. This is not a uncommon thing.
Correct.
Just like Peter Laviolette was the right voice for that team until he wasn't the right voice for that team. And they brought back Paul Maurice, who was the right voice for the team at one point, then wasn't, and then was again. You see what I'm getting at? So I don't think it's batshit crazy to be like, hey, man, is this message getting through with these dudes with Rod? Now, that being said, the Canes' problems are really easy to identify right now. Defense. Defense is a problem. Also, bad breaks, bad bounces. Last night, hey, nice to see Mikko Rantanen finally get it on the score sheet. In the wrong direction. That's bad bounces. If there's anything that youth hockey has truly taught me in the last 3 years, okay? In the last 3 years, we brought up Chuck Hitton yesterday. Chuck was like, oh, the puck bounces funny ways, Joe, Yeah, man. Hockey's stupid. It is the dumbest sport because of that stupid puck.
Puck luck is real.
Puck luck is a real thing. So if you were an optimist, you look at last night's game and go, well, shit, man.
Whoa.
Montreal's pucks bounced the right way.
An optimist from
There
last night.
is. Montreal's pucks bounced the wrong way, and ours just went off the post. Now, now, that's the optimist way of looking at it. Now, off the post, it didn't go in. Now, that's where we get back to the system. That's where we get back to the problem. And that's where I think it's valid, and we talked about this a little bit with Luke DeCock yesterday, to be, hey, is this system paying off? Does the system reward stars? Is it cuffing people? I think those are valid. Oh, cuffing season's about to end, actually.
Yeah.
So and maybe that'll happen with Mikko Rantanen. You know, cuffing season will end. Anyway,
Canes have lost 5 of 6, and quite frankly,
but he ain't good.
All but one of them has been competitive. Like I think that's the alarming part of this for the Hurricanes. Now, you and I go back and forth. Remember the one year where the Florida Panthers were breathing fire,
and I told you, chill
and
out.
you were like, "Cool,
chill out,
awesome." Then I'm like, "No, for real." They're look at what they're doing, and look how the Canes are stumbling down the stretch.
Yeah,
I think you're getting some of that because the Hurricanes kind of know what their situation will be, but you don't want to just stumble and bumble your way into this thing, particularly when you're adding a new piece in Rantanen, and you have to make that new piece work.
Big thanks to our friends at the Butcher's Market. Check them out. Thebutchersmarkets.com. They sponsor our OG Lives, which we will do on Thursday. And of course, they sponsor our OG mailbag as well. So go to thebutchersmarkets.com. Big thanks to our friends at Breeze Through as well. I have a feeling with a lot of the driving around I'm doing today, I will find myself at a Breeze Through. My gas light came on. And folks, I need coffee. I am absolutely dragging. So go to breezethrough.com to find out their locations. Download the app to save money on gas. And if you need a B-E-E-R-U-N, no, I'm sorry, it's B-E-E-R-U-N, beer run, you can go to Breeze Through and make that happen. Big thanks to our friend Matt Davis over at State Farm. You can save money on your home and auto. InsureGarner.com, TheOGInsurance.com. Or call them directly at 919-779-8277. Are we doing this contest now?
Even better.
We're doing this contest now. This is not something we're starting up next week?
No, because let the early bird get the worm.
Okay,
here.
That's fine by me.
Matt has tickets to Thursday, March 6th for the Hurricanes.
Okay, next Thursday?
Yes.
My brother's birthday?
Next Thursday. Here's how you can win
my
tickets
30. Jeez.
To the Canes game, March 6th. Let me get the opponent here. You're going to get a quote from Matt Davis and State Farm.
So go InsureGarner.com, TheOGInsurance.com, or just call directly.
Or call
919-779-8277.
Then email me proof of your quote. Email me proof of your quote. And we have tickets for it is Boston. Nice one. So you get to see Boston at the Canes. All you got to do is get a quote from Matt Davis and State Farm, and then email it to me, giglio.joe@gmail.com.
More than a feeling. More than just a local insurance guy. He's hooking you up with tickets. Big thanks to our friends at Hometown Realty, myhtr.com. Speaking of your home, look, you like your house. It's fine. But you might come to find out when you're doing the spring cleaning and everything else, you need more room. You need new construction. Hometown Realty can help you out with that. They've got inside tracks with builders and the incentives that come along with it. And more importantly, if you're looking to sell your house, folks, these guaranteed offers, you're leaving money on the table.
Don't make mistakes.
Especially with the market that we're in right now. So get it started, get the process started by visiting the website, myhtr.com. Did we make it all the way through today's podcast without me having to say I'll edit that later?
Hey, baby, I hear the podcast calling. Good one.
Those have been rare as of late. We ran straight through this. I'm excited about it.
Hey, don't dump the Gatorade yet.
You know what? Very, very good call. Very, very good call. Let's actually get back to calls.
919-444-2211. Call the OG Sports phone and curse or don't.
All right. This is from a 910 number.
Hey guys, this is Dan from Durham. It's been a while. I actually think the last time I called was when we lost to Wake in football, so this is appropriate. Of course, we finally win a game we're not supposed to win against the only team in North Carolina that I don't hate, at least on the basketball side. You think maybe State and Wake need to come together? Maybe we can get the old NC State moderator involved here and come up with a pact where in basketball and in football, maybe we can extend this to baseball as well. If the other team is having a way better year than the other and actually has a chance to do something that they haven't done in a while, like, I don't know, win 10 football games or make it to a ACC championship game or, I don't know, make it to the NCAA tournament, we don't get in each other's way. Maybe try and beat one of the blue teams and get in their way for once. I realize that's easier said than done, but anyway, going to pick up my 3-year-old whose favorite song is the sports phone jingle. He hasn't figured out the whole curse or don't part, but he hasn't said fuck yet, so we should be good. Thanks, guys.
Hey, what an unbelievable idea. I love it. The
Great
Wake
idea.
State detente. We need that in our lives. And then B, yeah. It's a catchy song, man. What do you want us to do?
And yeah, if you keep listening to the podcast, your 3-year-old will be saying bad words. Will be saying bad words.
Yeah, that's a guarantee.
All right, this is from a 919. I'm going to go ahead and let y'all know this call is going to harsh a vibe.
Hey guys, calling regarding there was a call yesterday regarding the criticism of Keats and why Doeren's not getting the same or similar criticism. And in responding to that, there was also there was a variety of responses y'all had, including the fact that y'all insinuated that race plays into that. I am not naive enough to think that race has no impact into this discussion. It for certain does. Okay, there's no way that has no impact, especially on certain generations of fans. I don't dispute that. However, I've listened to every single episode of your show, and the idea or the argument that Doeren does not get a lot of criticism from the fans or on your show, I mean, is just not true. It's not true at all. Go back and listen to the 2023 and 2024 season episodes. Scroll through Twitter if you have the time over the last 2 seasons alone and review the commentary about Doeren. Doeren does not get a pass. He doesn't get a pass at all. There is a large contingent of the fan base that is not happy with him. The idea that we're just letting Doeren go and piling on Keats as if it's simply just a race matter because it's absolutely absurd. Keats certainly probably is not going to win everybody over, but Doeren's not getting a pass. I mean, like, that is just not true. It's not true at all. And that's just not consistent with the reality of the discussion of him over the last 2 seasons. Go back and listen to the 2023 post-Duke game episode. Go back and listen to most of the 2024 season episodes. The fans are not happy. Go back and listen to the call-ins from the fans. Fans aren't giving him a pass. There's a large contingent of fans that are looking at this subjectively, not looking at the color of anybody's skin at all.
So that call went on for 6 minutes. He called back because the sports phone only has a 3-minute cap, a 3-minute limit. There's a couple ways to address this. The first one is, as the caller points out, you cannot dismiss race. Okay, we all agree on that. So I don't know why that's got people fired up. And without going back and listening to it, I'm just going back to our general conversations about these types of things. We're not saying the reason why Kevin Keats is in the position that he's in with the fan base has everything to do with race. We were simply pointing out that there are certain key phrases that get used when we discuss Kevin Keatts. I'm not going to go through all those key phrases because that's not the point I'm trying to make. I'm just simply saying there are certain ways we talk about Keatts and his coaching that are very in line with how people talk about black people. Straight up, hard stop. Okay? That element exists. We're acknowledging it. We're not saying that's the reason why. The record and the success or lack thereof is a big reason why we are here with Kevin Keatts. Now, the other reason why we're here with Kevin Keatts, more so potentially than Dave Doeren, has a lot to do with consistency. And also with what State fans really care about. Basketball. As much as I've tried to make the argument that State has transitioned over to more of a football sense, because honestly, they had an in or they had a way to maybe be better than Carolina at something, and football was that avenue to be better than Carolina at something. What we rediscovered in the Final Four run is that, no. State fans really care about basketball still. They really care about basketball. And I do wonder if there was a prompt, if I guaranteed that NC State basketball would be a perennial top 25 team that would make decent NCAA tournament runs. Not win it all the time, make decent runs, maybe win an ACC championship every couple of years. And in order to do that, you had to axe football completely. I'm saying, like, you get rid of football altogether. You demolish, you basically sell Carter Finley Stadium to Tom Dundon. Do what you want with it, man. Don't care, because we don't care about football anymore, because I've just got the guarantee that basketball will be successful. 99% of you would take it. Okay? So the care level of basketball is greater than football. Okay? Now, the reason why I think the caller is absolutely right in that Dave Doeren has been hammered the last few years. And yes, he has been hammered on this program. Giglio has straight up called him out for his X's and O's deficiencies. Okay? But there's one thing that Dave Doeren does consistently, or has done in crucial times in the last 5 to 6 years. He has beaten Carolina, gets to bowl games. We can get into the ins and outs of it if it's run its course and the ceiling is there, but those things do matter and would ultimately kind of not give a pass, but give Dave Doeren a little bit of wiggle room that Kevin Keatts doesn't, which is just hard stop, straight up, wins and losses. But I will say this. If merely acknowledging that there are some racial overtones in how Keatts is discussed triggers 6 minutes of OG sports phone time, I don't know what to tell you. I really don't. Especially for just a real quick throwaway acknowledgement of the reality. If that triggers a 6-minute call to the sports phone, I'm at a loss with that one. So just kind of lay it out that way. Like I said, Harshin vibes.
That's what the sports phone's there for.
I know. And I love the people who call it the sports phone. It's a good way to go back and forth. It's how you interact. And honestly, it's a hell of a lot better to do than, say, social media, where you get weirdos in Corey Lavallette's timeline want to get Rod Brindamore out of here. Period.
He needs to adapt. I saw that. I thought that was awesome.
Whew. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for today's show. We'll see you all tomorrow for an OG Live.